Hello, everybody, and welcome back to video number 42 in this set. There's been a lot going on. Kind of going over making game development, but really these videos were created to edit my lecture notes. I'm teaching a summer camp with high schoolers, a week long, 5 days, 3 hours per day, so I have to abbreviate my normal game development lectures, spread out over 2 semesters, is when I typically teach that, and into something that'll fit in a week. So to practice the lectures and help planning, I made some videos and decided that I'd share those videos online in case other people find them useful. We're almost finished. I got our alien moving, our character moving, our landscape, have the cutscene to introduce our storyline, the cutscene for after the boss fight, even though we don't really have a way to get to that yet. And a whole lot's been going on. Um, and to finish it up, we just need to generate a bunch of aliens to run around so that we have our uh, main storyline conflict for the game, then the boss fight. And there's not really a whole lot new there, so I might kind of abbreviate those and try to get these finished up. There's not a lot new there, but there is something that we saw before, but I want to spend a little more time with that because people getting into game development, we've been using Godot as a easier learning curve to get started with than some of our other game engines, in particular Unreal. That's the one most people are probably thinking of. And the logic for bringing in our models like we did, making them in Blender, bringing them in, and writing the script, it's a different syntax, but logically it's the same for Unreal. Where the magic really happens there is in our shaders. Same thing with Unity. Unity has better shaders, so you can get much better graphics going. And shaders are where we write the code for our material. We saw that some with water. I want to do a quick one for the sky to recap on that, and then on um, the last two steps for the rough draft of the game. Really is all things we've seen before, so I'll probably go through that pretty quickly just to get the videos finished. But I wanted to look at the shaders again, and I guess there's an alien ship up here where all the aliens are coming from, and I guess what I was thinking for the boss fight is after we beat up so many aliens, we'll end up on the ship, and maybe later there'll be a big fancy alien to fight for a boss. But I was thinking just in an internal setting, have a whole bunch of aliens running around and maybe like 3 control panels, and we have to avoid the aliens and smash the 3 control panels for the boss fight in the rough draft. And that was one of the tips that I gave earlier, or mentioned a few times, is try to get a rough draft going as quickly as possible. Ignore little errors and just get something that is the very, very rough draft, a long way from finished, maybe full of little bugs that can be ignored for now, and have a complete game, a complete rough draft that you can polish up later. Uh, Over the years, I've found that makes a big, big difference in um, actually getting to the final product. So get that rough draft together as quickly as possible. But first thing I want to do, I want to look at shaders and maybe put that alien chip in the sky because that's kind of missing in our scenery. Which there's nothing fancy for getting in the sky. We have the model already because we brought it in for a cutscene, and then we have to scale it and position it. I'm thinking if we just copy it from the cutscene, it'll come right over. Uh, so the intro cutscene has that alien ship in it. So I'm just going to select that model right here and hit copy, and then come over to the level and see if I can paste that in. Paste in as a child. There we go. And then it came in with all the transforms and everything. Uh, all the information is correct. The light's hitting at a weird angle, but that's going to change. And that's kind of scenery. Um, we'll deselect everything and kind of zoom in where we can see our scene. So we have aliens running around that we'll beat up with a stick, and then eventually we'll go on the ship and smash 3 control panels, and that'll count as the boss fight. And in that small enclosed space, we'll probably put like 20 aliens so that it gets a little bit challenged to avoid them. And the main playability is we'll just generate aliens. I'm thinking generate 5 more every minute all over the world, and then there's more and more aliens showing up constantly. And that'll Hopefully get some playability for the rough draft. It'll need cleaned up afterwards. That's part of the thing with the rough draft is get something started there, and then you can see what adjustments need made. Like maybe that won't be good. Maybe that's every minute is too spread out or too quickly, or five's a bad number for it, or maybe it would seem better if they were all generated in the same spot, kind of like the aliens beam down to the same spot and then just start wandering randomly around the world, which would also result in as we progress through the game, it gets harder and harder to get over to the ship because there'll be more aliens between us and the ship every so often from the generator. And then I was just going to shove a bunch of aliens in an enclosed space for the boss fight for the rough draft. But before we get to that, I want to do one more pass at shaders. And yeah, pretty much everything there is stuff we've already seen before. I don't think there's a whole lot of new knowledge, so I'll speed through those in the videos. And some of it may be looking at a lot of finished work in the video, but it's all things that are new before. But shaders are where the magic really happens in our game dev. So I want to take another quick pass at shaders and make this sky look a little bit better. And we can make this sky look pretty good. And what I have planned is about 10 lines of code. So let's take a look at that. So the sky resides as part of our world environment. I changed the name to sky because that's kind of all that's there. We just set up a background color. We can change that to a sky. You can see there are other things down here, like fog. Fog really makes a big difference. Let's turn that on. Not that much fog. Reset that one. Sun scatter, maybe a little bit. Density, let's cut that down 0.005, half of what it was. Can go even lower than that. 2. And just a little bit of fog in our area makes a big difference. Sky effects fully there. Let me lower the level of that fog. Okay, so don't want to go negative with that. What was that? You want to play around with the numbers and find good numbers. I'll just put very, very light fog everywhere. One of the things I was thinking of doing eventually is putting the lights on this so the fog can be seen. Maybe I'll just leave this off. The fog is there, so you can see we can get fog and run around in a clear environment, but I think actually I'll just probably turn that off for now. I'll disable that. We can do that later. That way we'll be able to see our sky. So let's go in and look at the shader. Sorry, I got a little distracted. I guess that's that comes with kind of making this up as I go along. I saw the fog button out of the corner of my eye. I was like, oh, we should do that. Godot 4 also has volumetric fog, where we can set up little shapes of fog, so it's not everywhere. We control the volume of it. So instead of having that everywhere, that's different videos. You can just go in and play with those settings and find a fog you like. Fairly easy to adjust it there. Shaders are writing code, so let's look at a shader. So instead of a custom color for that sky, let's switch over and make that a sky shader. And once we have that, a new option showed up here for sky. If we expand that section and we'll make a new sky and click on that, and now we're down to the material, and for a material we could either use a procedural sky, or I'm just going to go with a shader. And once the shader's in there, click on that, and then there's another empty slot where we create a new shader, and this is where we'll write our code at. A new shader, it's going to be of type sky instead of spatial like we did on the water. Then we just need to save it in the right spot. So I'll go up to the materials folder and call this the sky shader. Sky.extension for a shader. We create that, and then if we come down to our shader editor, I guess I have to click it from over here and open that up. This is our starting point. We looked at this code earlier. It's a semicolons and curly braces, and we'll write all of our information about the sky here. And a lot of it's going to be just like we saw before. I'm going to set up some colors. We saw before the word uniform will make this show up over in our inspector, so then we can have those nice little controls to do things with. And color is a mix of red, green, and blue values, so 3 numbers, so we need a vector 3, a 3-dimensional vector. I'll call it sky color. I'm going to make some changes here, and that's going to be a source color sort of input. And when we do spatial shaders, we use albedo. But if I start typing that, you'll notice albedo doesn't show up here. So on the sky shader, at least in Godot, they actually went with the word color. And for now, I'll set that to sky color. So we'll see something. And end of instruction. Well, there's a technicality. Computers read our text files backwards, so technically a semicolon means next instruction, but when we're writing our code, it makes more sense to think end of instruction, and that should be an equal sign, not a semicolon. So the color is assigned the sky color. End of instruction. If you're not used to languages with semicolons, I would recommend actually think end of instruction every time you type that. There's a technicality internally to how the computer works there, but for how it goes in the text file, thinking end works better. So now if we choose that shader, again, we'll go to sky, choose our sky option, and that shader material, we'll see that thing we saw earlier with the parameters showing up, and just choose sort of a light blue sky. Looks a lot like it did before. Notice how the color is affecting everything. We're getting lots of bounce and stuff, and different varieties, and kind of like what we had before, which is almost a problem, because if you go look at the sky, we'd say the sky is blue, but it's not an even distribution of blue like this. So I want to put a couple of colors in here. I'm going to make another color, and that's what's going to go on in this shader, is that fade across the sky. So instead of a solid color, we get a couple things. So maybe a horizon color, which again, I'll make a source color input. And before long, we'll make some clouds. So I'll make another vector 3 for clouds, which will be a source color. So choosing multiple colors instead of just one in our thing. So maybe the horizon can be a darker blue. Is that right? That would actually change with the days, so that's a more complicated coding. But if the sun's up high in the sky, then the lighter part of the sky is going to be up high, and the horizon is going to be darker. And then we can write some code to sort of change between those. Oh, I don't want black clouds. Let's switch that and just do some grayish clouds, something closer to the white side. The big thing is now we can start writing code with those colors we brought in. So we can make a floating point value that gives us a fader. And I'm going to use a clamp function that works a whole lot like the clamp function we saw when we were talking about the controllers. And I want to clamp this built-in I direction Y value. So depending on how high up or down we're looking, so how high in the sky is it? And divide that. Maybe it's divide by 0.06. Just get that to a small number. That's going to be a really big number, but not coming in as degrees, kind of like we saw when we were moving our mouse. It comes in as direct values, but we need to convert it to radians. So just dividing by that to get us a, oh wait, no, it's going to come in as radians, and we need a really big number. So divide it to give us a really big number. So the opposite of multiplying by something small would make it small. Dividing by something small makes it big. Then we have a good number to work with, and then we can set it, clamp it somewhere between 0, which would be straight out, So straight out at the horizon, um, the lowest point on the horizon, and 1.0, 100% all the way up at the top of the sky. So we'll clamp our numbers there. Then we can make a new color. I'm going to call it color. And we'll mix that sky color, which is sort of the apex of the sky, and the horizon color. So I want to mix horizon and sky color. And then I want to create a vector 3 from that fade clamp we just set up. Did I miss something? Oh, there it is. A vector 3, colors are vector 3s, not that. And then I'll change this to color so we'll see that fade. So down at the horizon, the sky gets dark, and way up top, it gets light. And if we change this number, divided by 9, whoops, save that, you can see it goes up. It's going up in the sky. So if we take that off altogether, it's light up there and fades down. Actually, that looks pretty good. So maybe I don't need to divide by something that big. Maybe 0.5. Nope. Divide by 0.06. I go back to the original one. Oh, wait. 0.5. I didn't save it. There we go. That works. So now our sky fades as we get further from the sun. Our light's still affecting everything. We would want to sort of change some of that glow and how it affects things. When we turn on the fog, we get drastically different effects. And you see we're getting lots and lots of different, a completely different feel for our game by doing all of this. I want to turn down that light energy. Nope, not that slider. Ambient light. Sky contribution. Nope. Nope. I have to play around. Don't need to waste time playing around with those. And it's getting too much blue on the scene, is what I was thinking. But this is a rough draft, so that's not a big deal. But you'll see, you'll definitely still want to play around with these other controls afterwards. So that gets us a nice fade in our sky. It's really bright up at the top and goes down, and really that should change with the sun, but I'm going to bypass that in the rough draft. Now we need to put some clouds on here, and what I was going to do is, well, something we've already seen, is let's just create a normal map. A normal map tells us which direction the light fades, and we can kind of set up, we can turn normal maps into height maps really easily, but it gives us slightly, it breaks up our appearance. Let's just think of it that way. The quick way to think of it is it breaks up our appearance. So a normal map is vector 3. I'll call it cloud map here. And that's going to be a new texture. Oh, we need a normal map. So let's create a normal map just like we did before. It's easiest if we put it in the inspector instead of writing all of our code here. So a sampler 2D, whoops, sampler 2D. I'll just call it normal, and we'll do everything with it from over in the inspector. So we want to create a texture from that normal we select. We'll use clouds for the color on it. Oh, not clouds. That's what we're doing now. We'll use, what do we call that? Normal map. Oh, sky coordinates. So we'll use this, make a normal map on the sky coordinates and use the RGB values so that it create the red, green, and blue become a vector 3 map. So our light reflects differently and we see different things. And now we'll mix that with our color. So a new vector 3, I'll just call it final color. And that'll be a mix of the color we created and the cloud map. And I'll do it a 50-50 mix for now. Now if we set our color to that final color and hit save, we should start getting some clouds. That's a little high. 0.06. Let me go back to what I originally had. That laid it over the whole thing. Oh, yeah. I forgot an important step. We have to choose a normal map. Right now, there's no normal map, so I just laid the clouds everywhere. But we'll set a normal map to kind of break up the pattern. That might be another way to say it, based on where it's located in the sky. And that part will be white, and then we'll have that sky color behind it, but we need to choose our normal map. So over in our sky, shader material, under the parameters, there's a spot for a normal map. We could bring in an image of clouds if we had one. Probably be the best way to do that. I'm just going to go with the texture here. And if we click that again to expand it, I'll use it as a seamless normal map. And for the noise, I'm just going to choose new fast noise. And you can see how it kind of broke up our sky into clouds. If we choose this, we can select different ones. So instead of simplex, maybe cellular. Gives us that appearance. Perlin. That looks like it might break up nicely. If we change the frequency of it, something like that, we can see a little bit of the clouds breaking that up. You'll want to change numbers. Come in, randomly change things, see what different effect it seems to have on stuff. Change the fractal. Ping pong? How's that look? Oh, maybe not ping pong. What's none? Nope, definitely not none. Bridged. I'll go with ping pong. Kind of reset this. You can try different ones. What's cellular look like? Or value. Try different ones. I'll just go with Perlin. That gives us a quick, much nicer looking sky. It gets the color changes at the level of the horizon. And we have those clouds breaking up the sky, and it ends up, it look a whole lot better. It's not perfect here. Using an image of clouds would have been better than the RGB one. But you can see that makes a big difference in how our graphics look, how the light comes in. We bring in fog, make that dark. It's getting a little bit too much of the red, green, and blue visible. Maybe if I switch that cloud color back to just pure white. What difference does that give us a difference there? Maybe make this a darker blue. There's different ways we can break that up. Maybe I shouldn't have used that as a normal map. Turn that off. Okay. Sorry. Make it seamless, but don't use it as a normal map. Normalize doesn't seem to have much effect. I think I was thinking of normalize. But you can see it gives us clouds, breaking it up in the sky. If you use it as a normal map, then you get those colors because the colors define the height. That's what was kind of going on weird there. And the color of our sky affects the lighting in our game, so we see different things that way. As the sun moves around, we'll see something different at night. But another quick pass at shaders, because that's sort of that's something that really makes a big difference in our game, and you can see that made our sky look a lot nicer. So that'll wrap it up for our second pass on shaders, and next couple videos we'll finish up the game, which are all things we've seen before, so it'll probably go really quick. I might go ahead and do it and just review the code to show what I did to finish it, because there's not really anything new in the next couple steps. I'll see you in the next video. But you can see really easy to use a shader to make a really nice looking sky. See you in the next video.